The movie starts in a Siberian military base. We learn this is both the start and end of the film. After 4 shots, a red and black manual appears, a tool the group will use. A diving shot shows a hibernation pod opening, revealing Bucky. The top light makes it seem like Bucky is asleep, but if we brighten and zoom in, his eyes are open. We watch as they pull Bucky out and start an experiment. The officer reads unrelated curses from the manual twice. This is the Winter Soldier's activation code. Once activated, he's assigned an assassination and retrieval mission. The target is the Stark couple, and the 5 bags he takes are a plot point. It switches to present-day Lagos. Through Captain America and Wanda's conversation, we learn Wanda is still in training and new to this. This sets up future events. Captain notices a suspicious garbage truck and sends Falcon to investigate. As expected, the truck is full, and the driver has a case. The truck's purpose is clear in the next shot. In Captain America 2, Rumlow, who was saved, didn't repay the favor but caused trouble. Luckily, the team arrives quickly, and Captain tells Wanda to extract the gas. This shows their training includes relevant content. Once Captain goes in, someone might ask why he's unaffected by the gas. The answer is in Captain America 1. After falling off a cliff in Brazil, Captain tried to save the assassin but never got drunk because his metabolism is 4 times that of a normal person. In this scenario, he might get poisoned, but here it's unlikely. Captain quickly takes out the enemies in the room, but when he reaches the bioweapon, it's too late. Rumlow has already escaped with it. A low-angle shot with 5 quick cuts in 6 seconds shows Black Widow taking out most soldiers and encountering Rumlow. In this scene, Rumlow is clearly stronger, maybe due to his injuries affecting his nerves. It's amazing he's alive. The camera shifts to Rumlow suppressing the captain with firepower in an armored vehicle. He knows he'll be caught soon, so he gives the bioweapon to his subordinate and prepares for a final showdown. Meanwhile, Black Widow and the captain recover from the explosion and arrive. The captain checks the ground equipment and realizes the enemy is in the crowd. An overhead shot shows something on the shield, and the captain throws it away, hinting Wanda will handle a bomb similarly later. Rumlow takes advantage to land a combo on the captain. Let's pause on the captain and see Falcon and Black Widow. Falcon quickly takes out 2 enemies with his flying ability. Unfortunately, the bioweapon isn't on them. Black Widow gets intel and identifies the target. The shaky camera heightens the tension. Within seconds, Black Widow catches up and briefly fights 2 people. More than one weapon falls, leading to standoff. If only one weapon had fallen, it would likely have led to a classic 2-person gun grab. But since they're in a standoff, they must figure out how to proceed. Will Black Widow put down her gun or rely on speed? From the audience's perspective, the film has already foreshadowed this. Early on, the small flying device was shown multiple times, so her appearance here isn't surprising but rather the best solution. The scene shifts to the captain, who, after taking a combo, quickly understands Rumlow's moves. This is similar to the scene in Captain America 2 where he fights Batroc. The captain probes before attacking, though this time it's more passive. Even with Rumlow's exoskeleton advantage, the captain quickly subdues him once familiar with his attacks. This part feels a bit abrupt. After defeating Rumlow, the captain is about to interrogate him, but is startled by his wool. Wanda still can't fully control her powers, leading to this situation when she mistakenly throws upward. There's both the overconfidence of the delusional and the captain's testimony. In Captain America 2, we also notice that every time the Bucky incident is mentioned, the captain becomes dazed. Rumlow naturally exploits this, adding fuel to the fire, causing the captain to be careless. The scene shifts to Tony at a charity event at MIT, where he showcases a new projection technology that erases traumatic memories. This technology was designed by Mysterio, but it's not really mentioned in Captain America 3. We just need to know that Tony approved all the students' projects. At this exciting moment, Tony suddenly pauses because Pepper's name appears on his teleprompter. When I first saw this, I was a bit confused, but later realized that in Captain America 3, Tony and Pepper are broken up. The scene shifts to Tony backstage, where he meets a black woman waiting for the elevator. Initially, Tony thought she was just like everyone else, coming to criticize the Avengers, so he didn't even glance at her on his way back. But in her subsequent response, he noticed something different, so he looked at her. Clearly, this part is about the general public's attitude towards the Avengers. Although the Avengers have prevented major crises on the surface, innocent civilians often get caught in the crossfire, and how their families feel is a core issue to discuss. This also sets the stage for Tony's push for the Sokovia Accords. Meanwhile, the TV starts condemning the Avengers' actions. Wanda feels guilty after watching, and the captain turns off the TV to comfort her, but it's clear he can't find the right words. Just then, Vision enters the room to remind the captain that Tony has returned, Along with Tony is Secretary Ross, accompanied by a Carter. Ross first thanks the Avengers for their efforts, then mentions some public opinions. They believe the Avengers are outsiders who habitually ignore national borders and are indifferent to the consequences. Indeed, the Avengers need to be accountable for their actions, but signing the accords means integrating into the system, which could lead to outcomes like Hydra. Thus, debates ensue. Let's pause on the Avengers for a moment. This is also how the movie handles it. Why? Because as we understand the next segment, events in this timeline are still unfolding. Hearing a crash inside a cabin in Cleveland, the owner was drawn to it. Zemo found out and asked if they wanted a private or public chat. This normal event hinted at Zemo's meticulous nature. He did this to get the other person to open the door. Before opening, a handgun close-up hinted at the situation's complexity. The cabin owner was a Nine Rings remnant. After Zemo got the East Ice Manual, he demanded a report on the December 16, 2019 mission, but the general didn't answer, so Zemo acted. The scene switches to the Avengers, still arguing. Captain divides Rhodey and Sam. As an active soldier, Rhodey hopes everyone signs the agreement, as he believes now. The system is still running normally. Sam, as a retired soldier, has seen US government tactics. His opposition isn't just about supporting the captain. There's a deeper reason. Vision presents data showing that since Tony announced himself as Iron Man, world-ending events have risen over 8 years. Vision sees a causal link. Vision's words can be heard, but only a bit. Great power invites challenges, which is possible. But if personal strength is downplayed as government power, will challengers retreat? We then see Tony, quietly exhaling because he decided long ago. The black woman in the elevator and the Ultron incident left him with only this choice. They must accept the takeover. The camera pans up, and Captain is divided by lines, representing his current suppression and melancholy. In London, Margaret Peggy Carter's coffin is carried into the church. The priest invites the deceased's niece, Sharon Carter. At this moment, the captain learns this important information. His upcoming speech is crucial, influencing daily choices. After the funeral, Black Widow arrives to comfort the captain, who just accepted Carter's trial, and tells him Tony, Rhodey, and Vision have signed, and she will go to Vienna to accept the agreement. Her main purpose here is to make the captain feel less uncomfortable. Transition. Black Widow arrives in Vienna, which is also Black Panther's reason. In the first appearance, during the father-son talk, we see Black Panther is a wise king with his own views. As the broadcast plays, everyone returns to their seats. The old king is on stage, and Black Widow listens intently. It's clear Black Widow's behavior in this movie is different. Is this a mistake? Clearly not, because Black Widow has lost too much. She finally has a place she can call home, and she truly doesn't want it torn apart. So, she acts as a mediator. Seeing Black Panther's perspective expand, the scene shows his thoughts. He notices the anomaly downstairs and tells everyone to get down, rushing to his father. Unfortunately, he's a step too late and her father falls into the vortex. The lowering music indicates her inner helplessness. The two scenes of experiencing death are placed together, but the emotions differ. The captain and Sharon talk about Peggy's past, and their feelings have developed. So, I want to name this picture, The Love Story of My First Love with Aunt. But before the captain can, Uncle Sam tells him about the explosion in Vienna. How can they still have the mood for romance amidst disaster? Sharon immediately throws herself into work, while Black Panther stands silently, unable to accept his father's death. Black Widow wants to comfort him, but from the composition, we see she is restrained. She understands there is a gap between her and Black Panther's positions. After Black Panther leaves, Black Widow gets a call from the captain. On the surface, she shows concern, but she knows what the captain is going to do, so she advises him not to act, or he'll be arrested. But the captain says if Bucky is brainwashed again, then she should catch him because he is the least likely to die. This statement doesn't hold up from others' perspectives, so after the captain finishes speaking, he hangs up. The scene switches to the captain walking back to Sam. Based on his trust in the captain and his experience in Captain America 2, Sam will definitely help the captain. He knows that those who shoot at the captain will also shoot at him. Then, a reverse shot focuses on Sharon, who secretly gives the captain important information and explains that the CIA's orders are to shoot Bucky on sight. Listening to the switch, we see Zemo, who has learned the manual for using the Winter Soldier. So, learning foreign languages is good. A close-up of Bucky buying fruit on the street shows his current life isn't wealthy. The former Winter Soldier hesitates even to buy groceries, hinting that the news reports might not be true. Captain America arrives at Bucky's place, and from his expression, we can see his feelings about his brother's situation. The capture operation begins, and under the principle of not killing anyone, the captain and Bucky fight side by side. Bucky quickly escapes the apartment, but then Black Panther appears. As a new character, Black Panther naturally shows great strength, and since Bucky just wants to escape, the fight quickly turns into a car chase. This chase can be divided into two parts. The first part is several people getting into cars, first in a long shot. It shows the characters' positions and compresses the distance between opponents and vehicles visually, creating a more urgent atmosphere. Then, several panning shots show the three's strong movement abilities or speed. In the latter part, the three's vehicles, a car, a motorcycle, and a bird, mostly use foreground and low angles to show speed. To be honest, Bucky looks really cool, but unfortunately, it's useless as they all get caught. The scene switches to Vision trying to cook to cheer up Wanda, but it seems he's not doing it perfectly. Of course, Vision's presence here is also to keep an eye on Wanda and prevent her from acting freely. The group is escorted to Berlin, and on the way, if you're interested, you can analyze the role of the blurred iron mesh in different shots inside the car. We see Tony and the captain talking, and here we learn about the impact of the Lend-Lease Act on the progress of World War II. It greatly enhanced the overall strength and war potential of the anti-fascist alliance, helping to turn the tide of the war and accelerate the victory of the anti-fascist war, providing important material support for the final defeat of the Axis powers of Germany, Italy, and Japan. In the movie, Tony asks the captain to sign the Sokovia Accords with this pen, expressing that the importance of his action is akin to Roosevelt's in 1941. We end with this close-up. There are two pens on the negotiation table, which is a great metaphor, with one always inside the box. Tony signed the agreement, and the captain is left outside the box, meaning he's leaving soon. Honestly, Tony, it would have been better if you hadn't said the last part. The captain had already relented. They gathered info after hearing about Bucky's interrogation and concluded Bucky was likely framed by an enemy plot. The enemy set a trap to make them act hastily, then follow up. They guessed right. Meanwhile, the EMP device was sent to its destination. Zemo dropped his disguise upon hearing the news. Bucky was brainwashed again, and Zemo pretended to be a victim. But the captain didn't buy it and grabbed Zemo. Zemo stopped pretending but spoke slowly, leading the captain into a misunderstanding. This gave Bucky a chance to attack. The captain and Sam were knocked down. Meanwhile, Tony, Sharon, Black Widow, and others rushed out without gear. But none were a match for Bucky. The only one who could somewhat control Bucky, Black Panther, lost track of him during the fight. So where could he go? That's right, the rooftop. You know, if they hadn't grown up together, who would have thought of that? With that hit, Bucky's head got knocked, and he likely started regaining his memory here. Switching scenes, Zemo listens to Wang Zai's phone recording. The virus's spread tells us his next destination. Back to Bucky, his memory returned, and he told the captain that Zemo was heading to Siberia, where Bucky was held at the start of the film. It turns out that after assassinating the Starks in 1919, Bucky took 5 vials of serum, which were used to create other Winter Soldiers. So, they speculate Zemo's plan is to go there and awaken them. Before we continue, let's rewind a bit to see this panoramic view, which is both a narrative technique and a record of the events. Then it switches to Ross, who is pursuing the recent events. Tony is trying to prevent the situation from escalating to the highest level. Tony negotiated with Ross for 36 hours to capture the captain, Bucky, and Sam. But now they're severely understaffed, so he went to Queens. The shot is quite interesting, first showing the environment from a distance, then a medium shot that subtly reveals the character's situation. It adds mystery, and the person on the ground emphasizes the environment again. The last shot shows Tony is fine, revealing his plan. The plot splits into two parts. Entering the room, Tony bluffs, but Peter gets it, fooling the third person. Then, Tony and Peter's personalities are shown. We analyze why Tony found Peter. In the room, Peter's scenes are clean, obvious without needing audiovisual cues. This cleanliness grows as Tony asks about Peter's ideals. This shows Peter's purity, a reason Tony found him. There's also the hero-to-hero attraction. Vision sees an explosion, checks it out, but it's a diversion. Hawkeye takes control, plans to leave with Wanda. After some struggle, Wanda escapes. Captain gets equipment from Sharon, thanks her, and their understanding grows. The brotherly expression is perfect. Time for business. They meet Hawkeye, Wanda, and Ant-Man. Ant-Man's actor looks great for his age, around 467 during Captain America 3, and you can't tell. After a quick mission intro, they move, and the Avengers battle begins. I mark it as resistance, not conflict, as it's about ideological differences. Resistance emotions grow over time. Captain wants to explain their escape, but Tony's out of patience. After talking, Captain knows the battle's unavoidable. I love the Spider-Man and Bucky scene. His drawing skills return, marking the next battle stage with Captain and Ant-Man. Visually, it's clear they've gone too far. No matter how they fight, their friendship remains unchanged. But this will definitely escalate things. I love this chaotic game scene. Even in a team battle, everyone has their own goals. But among them, someone used their power, and that was Black Panther. He still believes Bucky is his father's killer. Luckily, Wanda intervened to prevent Bucky from being harmed. The scene's brightness is very smooth. The perspective quickly shifts from the knocked-back Black Panther to the little tree. Let's congratulate the captain on winning the gymnastics championship. In terms of numbers, Peter undoubtedly surpasses the captain, but experience isn't gained overnight. That's why the captain can easily win in this situation. On the other side, with a winning sentence, attracted a lot of firepower, the captain took the opportunity to reach the hangar. The two successfully boarded the plane. Where there's victory, there's also defeat. Giant Ant-Man quickly came up with a countermeasure for Peter. However, in his excitement, Peter was accidentally knocked down by Ant-Man's arm. At this moment, Tony was clearly panicked. First, Peter was someone he brought in, and if something happened, he couldn't explain it to Aunt May. Secondly, the idea of heroes hurting heroes is unacceptable to Tony. He really likes this kid. Lastly, this also foreshadows more serious injuries to come. Rhodey's injury completely changed the nature of this battle, pushing the story to its climax. Zemo called room service, ordering his usual breakfast. This seemingly normal act was actually to expose himself, aiming to show Tony that the captain was right, to lure both sides in. Unaware of the truth, Tony immediately sent the information to Ross. He took this opportunity to go to the prison and, after agreeing to Sam's request, got the captain's destination. This sentence can spot flaws, a pun referring to the captain's eye color, but actually saying that the seemingly perfect Captain America handled some issues poorly. The issue was hiding the Starks' death. Clearly, this, yes, completely shattered Tony's heart. His anger finally erupted. As a friend of the Starks, the captain didn't tell Tony the truth right away. Instead, he tried to cover it up with lies until the very end. But at this moment, his mind was clear. So when facing the captain's block, he always trapped rather than attacked. The hand that killed his parents. How could he not be anxious in the end? Symmetrical. Composition can express calmness and solemnity, but here it's more about closure and limitation. This is caused by Zemo, as well as the captain and Tony. Switching scenes, Zemo listened to his wife's last message in the snow, feeling he had completed his mission and chose to leave this world to find his family. But Black Panther, having heard the lab's words, was already clear-headed. He stopped Zemo's suicide and indicated that he should face legal justice. Meanwhile, the captain and Tony were still fighting fiercely. From the captain's perspective, he felt guilty towards Tony. He didn't tell Tony the truth immediately after learning it. At the same time, Bucky is his friend, and Steve Rogers cannot abandon a friend, especially since this person is a childhood friend, brother, and comrade. Therefore, at the end of the movie, the captain writes Tony a letter of apology and goes to the prison to successfully rescue everyone. The movie also has two post-credit scenes. One is Bucky going to Wakanda, choosing to freeze himself again to avoid harming others until the curse in his mind can be removed. The other is Spider-Man getting new equipment. Let's talk about it at the end of the video. The theme is whether superheroes should sign this agreement, a core issue in the first two acts. I'll directly state my opinion. My choice is the same as the captain's, not to sign. But it's not because the movie is called Captain America, but based on the following points. The most important is based on the American system, and as an idealist, with the captain present, I can trust his character and justice. I would also have doubts about institutions under the American system. They might be infiltrated and manipulated by those with ulterior motives, using the agreement for personal gain, turning the Avengers into tools or means to suppress dissent, making the agreement an unjust and unreasonable existence. Secondly, after signing the agreement, the Avengers' actions would certainly be restricted. In the film's environment, emergencies are frequent. Those who have been to school or work might have some aversion to the phrase, going through the process. It's not that I dislike formal procedures. On the contrary, I hope they appear in all industries. But some procedures are completely burdensome, and some things are just their purpose. But the approval wait time was way beyond what we imagined. So, about this agreement, I feel the same. Or rather, global threats are many and ever-changing. Agreements can't cover every possible crisis and situation. This means contributors can't have full authority. So, it's likely that due to agreement limits, effective actions can't be taken. That's my view. Again, this is just a film-based discussion. If you have thoughts, join the comments to discuss. If you like this video, please like, comment, and share to support us.